In this episode of Freedom Garage, we are not in the garage. We're working outside in the front driveway, I guess. Sure. We're working on Grumpy. We're gonna see about getting rid of that stumble hesitation when you give her the throttle right out the gate. I got a new 50cc accelerator pump diaphragm and housing. I'm gonna see about putting that in. And I got a new bigger squirter. It had a 35 in it. Holly recommends going up to 3 increments when changing them. But the auto parts store didn't have a 38, so I got a 40 with the hollowed out screw. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna take the carburetor off. We're gonna put that on the workbench tailgate and take it apart. Here is the old 390. She leaks the oil. We're gonna get the air cleaner off, get this carburetor off. And I already started to undo the choke. Throttle's off. Just gotta unbolt it, and then apparently I thought it was a good idea to run these through the fuel line, which turns out it's not a good idea if you want to take it apart. So I'm gonna get those off. And then get that out of there, go get a wrench, pull the carburetor, be on the bench. We don't want any critters getting down in there. Boom. Putting this on there so nothing gets in the intake, obviously, but carburetor won't be going back on today. Parts are ordered and they won't be here till tomorrow at the minimum. So we're just gonna have to wait till then. Finish your loop. And here we are with the 750 Holly dual feed single pumper action. So I'm thinking this little guy's not keeping up, and well, I already pulled the squirter, but it goes right there. And you probably can't see it, but there's a little carbon on the secondaries there, a little piece of junk. So, work on pulling this accelerator diaphragm out of here. And then I need to locate some bigger screws. Here's what we're working with. Pull them off so you can actually see. It's completely garbage. And this one's also completely garbage. Terrible. Those ports are just getting ready to suck vacuum. Cause the idle to be all screwed up, so good thing we pulled the carb and found that at least. Couldn't tell driving it though, other than that stumble, but that's always been there, not just a recent dry rot concern. We'll keep digging. Well, I had an idea. Since Ranchero kind of rides like poop with those new air shocks in there, probably because they're too long and I don't put enough air in them because I want to sit low, that they're not being used, I guess. So they're I'm gonna take them off essentially, and I'm gonna put them on 57 Grumpy, since I got a car show coming up and we're gonna haul the old Mopar Charger on the trailer to the show just for fun, and that could use some air shocks. Gets a little saggy, so I'm gonna take shocks off Grumpy, which I did already. Takes 2 seconds. Stud at the bottom, little nut, another nut. And these are gonna go on here. I already measured, they should be pretty close. So, give them a wipe down. Got all the leaky grease off them. And then we're gonna throw these on real quick. Took all these bolts. You already saw me do this in the last video. If you haven't seen the last video, I installed the air shocks on here. And then I just changed my mind a couple weeks later. You know, I could just stuck on the butyl tape. Anyway, got the plate back off, zip those 2 nuts off, and then I gotta undo my my independent wiring here, because now I'm gonna put the old T back into her. These are my leftover parts because we can air Grumpy up both sides at the same time. We don't have to do this garbage, try and level it. And update on the old carburetor. Got the right there. Got the bigger squirter in there. Had to have my girlfriend do it with her little tiny fingers because these little sausage dudes weren't getting in there. So I got the 40 squirter / nozzle in there. And then I got the big accelerator pump diaphragm, which is on the front. I got the newer, or the bigger one coming tomorrow, or Friday, I don't know. It's only Wednesday, or Tuesday, I don't know what day it is. Anyway, I'll zip these shocks off here with all the airline. Oh, got the Monroe air shocks out. They're not too much different though. The air, I'll take out the difference in there because I looked up the specs. Supposedly they're roughly 20 inches long when fully extended, which I don't think they want you to run that all the way either. But we're gonna put on these gas shocks on the Ranchero here. There's part number there, and they're made in USA, so they should last. These are actually made in USA also. But I'm going to throw these on there and get the Ranchero done. And we got some Silly Glide we're going to throw on here. Now that the Ranchero's back together, work on putting these on. Put a little lube in there so the shaft will slide her in. That's weird. And then we'll work on throwing them on there. And I think I'm just going to leave these hoses the same length since they're already made, you know. Maybe next week I'll throw them back on the Ranchero just for fun, you know. Probably not. Probably shouldn't. There's the old 9-inch. Yep. There's a hitch I had made up. Ready for the old drag and drive now. There's my practice. Oops. A little bit of rubber. Got the air shocks in. They're bolted down. Ran the air line up through the frame rails here. Both sides over the hitch. And I got them under this T right here. I got those plumbed in. And I lied. I did shorten them a little bit. But I had to. You can't just hook the inflator into the T like I had hoped. So I'm gonna have to run this little line off the T, and then on my flappy license plate I got these 2 holes here on this bracket, so I think I'm gonna put it on that side so it's away from the plug. That way there's not too much going on over here, and then my plate's not in the way or obstructed in any way. But shocks are on, they look good, they look like they'll fit. Well, maybe I'll just measure ride height with no PSI in them, and then we'll compare that to their 19.5 inches of fully maxed out, and then we'll see how much air I can put in it. Jack the back up a little bit for hauling trailer. Should be pretty good. I'm happy with it so far. Right, I got the T right here. I'll just zip tie that to the hitch. I got it going in through the hole and coming out right there behind the plate. Hidden. Turned out pretty nice. Well, got my checker. Pre-runner invasion from Silver Lake Sand Dunes. I'm one of the cool kids. I have a pre-runner, I guess. The Bronco. Anyway. Bought myself an air truck finally. Getting made fun of by your dad is always fun. So I bought one. And now we're going to test out these air shocks. Actually, I'm going to take a measurement, see how high she rises first. Alright, I guess we'll just use that as a reference. It's 16 3/4 inches from the ground to the bottom of the hitch there. Oh. Let's see what will happen here. There's 52 or so. Let's go a little more. Pass the old air checks. Oh. Anyway, so it's about 85. So let's measure air now. Roughly 17.5 inches. So we raised her 3/4 of an inch. And I'm sure we gained some capacity for hauling. Let's check the old side. This one was 33, so now we're almost 34. So it raised it about an inch, give or take. Take a little, I guess. So she's sitting up in the ace a little bit more than it was. I could always let some out. That was very anticlimactic. Couldn't see nothing moving, could ya? One more test we can do is the old bouncy test. Oh yeah. Grumpy likes the air shocks a lot better. That sucker doesn't move at all. It does have a lot more spring too, so that's it. No. We got parts. We're at the old Venom 250s. Look at that guy. Aggressive high performance tone that improves your engine's horsepower without the harsh drone sound. That's what I need in my tin can out there. We got the 9" by 9" by 4". What? Thought they were like 13. Well, if that's 9 inches, then, you know, box is not correct. Anyway, this should be what I ordered. Should work. They are the king of sound. Oh yeah. Got a sticker. You got a sticker. Nice. It's the only reason to spend a couple $100 on anything is for a sticker. Installation directions. Yep, we'll read those and then just ignore them. Well, I'm excited to put them on, so let's do it. Before I get too excited or distracted with all these oil leaks, I'm going to mark the bottom so we know what goes down somewhat very most of the pipe. And I'll mark the header flange so we can kind of put it where it was, give or take. And we want that bottom, and then I'll mark the bottom in front of the muffler. So we'll mark somewhere on bottom too. I'm gonna do the same thing behind the muffler. Some garbage like that. And these are the old Raptor mufflers. They sound good at $4 or $5 grand, but at idle they sound like a tractor. So I'll insert a clip here if future Anthony knows how to do that. And we'll work on lopping these off. We got one hanger to take off there, and one back here, and then just the collector nuts and bolts. And these suckers are out of here. There we go. Use some jack stands to help me hold it up. That's all it is. Simple, simple. So I'm gonna get the chop saw out of my truck, borrowed from my dad, and we'll get the new muffler in here first, size it up. But that should be an inch longer, so I think I'm gonna take an inch off the front and leave the tailpipe. They seem to sound a little better like that. And the mufflers aren't right in the back. So I'll grab the new muffler. That's the new muffler. She's a little bit longer. Definitely from the pipe, but I guess it's measured by muffler length, not length of the whole jobber, which I didn't really look into too much. But with that there, I'm gonna cut this one off a few inches. So maybe I'll grab my level and just whoop. Pipes made in Canada. Okay, easy enough. Get a Sharpie and chop saw and my straight edge and get the whacking. I just use the straight edge on this guy. Went to where I lined up. You see that? So that's where that one will be cut, just behind that guy. So that's lined up. So I did the same with this one. And that's what that line on the left is where this guy comes in, intersects, and then I just drew another one then to cut in between it, but on this side of it. So I'm gonna hack that first. Probably tack the muffler to this, and then I'll hack this one off. And then I'm gonna put the muffler and the collector pipe back underneath, lightly bolted up. And then before I weld on the tailpipe or side pipe, whatever, I make sure I got the right angles and stuff with the jack stands. Then tack that, and then take it all back out and weld it all. And hopefully it points where I want it. Some of you might already caught it, because I'm no exhaust guy, but when I was laying my stuff, I could have left it longer because it goes in, but we'll just put her in just a skosh. And it'll be fine. It might just come out just a little bit more in front of the tire, but we'll make them the same. Based off of this one. Got my helper. She's gonna be holding stuff while I'm welding. Just kidding. But I'm gonna get that over, start tacking, and we'll throw it under there and see how she looks. Well, I got her bolted up, ruined my gasket. Always fun. Got her tack welding. Got her all mocked up. Got her coming out just below the quarter. That's what I want. Blow the smoke out. And then we got some boogeries there, but that's alright. We'll fix those up when we burn it in. That's pretty much where it'll be. It looks pretty good. You won't be able to see it from the side until you're laying down completely. And that looks good to me. There we go, halfway there. Welds didn't turn out too bad. I mean, you can't even tell which ones are mine. Yep, basically a professional. Looks good. Good enough for who it's for. Days later, got the air shocks on, trailer hooked up, doesn't even squat. Usually the trailer sits level because the rear squats a little bit, and we're going to pick up the old Charger from my brother's house today after we hit the junkyard, looking for Ford parts or whatever we could find, maybe some Charger parts. Well, there's been some deception in this video. I never did take Grumpy to the car show. We never did haul the Charger there. And I never told you what I found in the truck. And I never bought that 50cc accelerator pump diaphragm because I found the real problem, which was the spring on the carburetor for the accelerator pump was partially compressed, which was in turn using half the squirter travel on the old rod there. I'll show you this here. So when you shorten this, it pushes down on it, something like that. So it's halfway in the stroke, and then when you go to give it a shot of gas with the throttle, it pushes down in here and it's already halfway used up. So that was causing my lean pop when I just wrapped on her and just taken off in general. So I adjusted this, and then I didn't need that, but we still have the bigger 40 squirter in there, so we'll leave that. It'll be good enough. So I figured I should recap on that. Never did get to it, but it does take off a lot better. This carb is too big for this engine. It really liked the 600 off the Ranchero. So when the 440 goes in the Fury, we're gonna throw this 750 on there and then buy another 600 and then match it just like the Ranchero and put it on here. Because you could stab the throttle at any speed, and the throttle linkage was a lot better on the other carb. So that is the plan for this. Just put the Holly on the other engine, get a smaller one for this. It'll like it better. Just another little tidbit, the Ranchero did really good in the car cruise and the show. It loves these shocks, likes the generic ones. So I'm definitely gonna stick with those. It rode really well. Wasn't all bouncy because it didn't have air in the shocks.